weekly. Because we win, that is our motto. Sometimes we win, sometimes we don't win. Don't give us the burn, don't give us your stink eye. We try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show, Bet River sponsors. It's time to start, enjoy the show.
Welcome along to Betting Weekly Live. You're with Dan Roebuck. Alongside me, Simon Holden. Simon, how are you? We know that in certain quarters, it may well have been advertised as Nigel Seeley, but thankfully it's you instead. How are you?
Very, very well. I believe it's called a courtesy upgrade, this, in the hospitality industry. So it's fantastic to be here. But I can say, if you're missing Nigel, he will be replacing me the scheduled Friday. So your Seeley fix will still be here to start the weekend. But you've got what many consider to be the dream team, Dangerous, myself and you today.
That's very true. Look, we're going to be talking soccer, a lot of it. Obviously, there's League Cup fixtures this evening in the UK, mid-afternoon stateside. Plus, there's the sort of middle section of the Serie A slate as well. We had a bit of fun with it yesterday, found a few winners for you as well. And we're also just going to dip into the SPL because we've got Hearts in action. We know that Nigel and Neil on the dojo have been talking about Hearts a lot, and Celtic, of course, have sacked.
Yes.
I say sacked. I'm not quite sure what happened with Brendan Rodgers, but Martin O'Neill is a bit of a back to the future job. So we'll talk about that game a little bit later on. And there's a bit of a special right at the end of the show, Simon. You're going to point us in the direction for a nice futures play potentially.
Yes, I've got a Cardigan Classic, a little bet that I think will at least half in price, little anti-post special.
There you go. That's right at the end of the show. Stay tuned for that one. Stephen from Lynn is with us. Hi, Steve. Hope you're all right. ZT is with us. End Offline is also joining us. Leslie Mack as well, and Bulu Charles. Leslie Mack saying, Juve haven't scored in 3 or 4 matches. Yeah, Juve are interesting. With an interim coach. We will get to that shortly. Lots of big bets, lots of big plays, as there always is from BetRivers account holders. Just a little bit of a taste when it comes to American sports. And the American boys will be going really well with daily doubles galore, incidentally, this midweek. Obviously, the live show a little bit later on today. Don't know if it was Doug and the boys putting 28,000 on the Thunder versus the Kings, -10. That was a loser, unfortunately. Warriors against the Clippers. NBA was a winning bet, $28,000 play, -2.5. On the spreads. We were talking about the baseball yesterday in the World Series, the Blue Jays against the Dodgers. Incredible games this week. That 18 innings game, not quite as long yesterday. $17,000 play on the Blue Jays on the money line against the Dodgers, which was a winner, +175. And also a $15,000 play or just over on the Blue Jays against the Dodgers, under 4.5 runs in the first 5 innings at -139. That was also a winner as well. When it came to the soccer last night, we were talking about Napoli, and I think a lot of the commenters, a lot in the chat, were looking at Napoli to get over the line. They did, courtesy of Anguissa. We talked about Anguissa yesterday. Hopefully you were on that. $77,000 play, though, on Napoli over 0.5 first half goals against Lecce, which is a loser. Oh, nasty one. $47,000 play on Milan. Team total over 1.5 goals against Atalanta. Quite a lot of you yesterday were suggesting that was going to be an unders game. The underlying metrics was overs, but the in-your-face stats was under. So hopefully plenty cashed on the unders. Unfortunately, that particular bettor did not. $46,000 play on Wrexham against Cardiff for over 1.5 first half goals, which was a loser as well. We had a 40k play on Napoli Lecce over 1.5 goals, which is a loser as well. So unfortunately, some chunky bets staying the wrong side of the counter. Notable streams coming your way. All of the League Cup matches, or 4 of the 5 League Cup matches, are going to be streamed live on the BetRivers app or the BetRivers website. We've got 9 league matches. Mention those in just a second. There's also soccer in Norway, in Switzerland, second-tier Italian football, Belgian and Austrian and Dutch Cup matches as well. Also knockout competitions from Romania, from Greece, from Poland, all covered. And we've also got some football in South America that you can watch. Plus ATP Paris 1000 is live on the website. So plenty to get stuck into. You can watch it at your leisure. You can get involved in play as well. Plenty of opportunity, of course, when it comes to the bets from Bet Rivers on the soccer and the tennis and further afield. Just a reminder, if you want to get James Eastham's Liga selections or leans from yesterday, have a look at yesterday's show because he goes match by match. I'll remind you of the picks a little bit later on as well. There were a couple of strong leans, but generally he went through the card. And if you want to watch that, you are more than welcome. We're not going to concentrate on it for today's show. What we are going to concentrate on, Simon, is League Cup soccer. And first of all, we're going to talk about the Arsenal-Brighton game here. This is an interesting one because Arsenal are minus 235 here. Brighton plus 575, the tie plus 370. And we always look at teams like Brighton, Simon, and suggest, well, look, can we get a Brighton or a Brentford over the line and winning this competition? But generally, it is the big boys that come good. But not Arsenal. Not since the early 90s have they lifted the League Cup when they beat Sheffield Wednesday. Or was it 1993? It's a long time ago. What are your general thoughts on this one? Minus 235 seems pretty short. We know it's going to be a mix and match side.
Well, I've just woken up from Arsenal's weekend encounter, which sent the nation to sleep. You're right. Of the big teams, Arsenal have got the worst record really in this competition. And of course, it is well down their list of priorities. However, Brighton, I thought, were extremely disappointing at the weekend, Dan. And had they beaten Manchester United and been remotely impressive, I would have been extremely tempted by that price on the money line. So it's a very tricky one to call this. I quite like both teams to score here. I know Arsenal have been rock solid in defence, but I do think Brighton will be up for this tonight. And it won't be the strongest Arsenal 11, will it? And again, is the motivation at 100% in this competition? It hasn't been in recent years, has it? So I think both teams to score, but Brighton very, very nearly caught my attention here. But I just thought they were, I don't know what you thought, but I thought they were awful against Manchester United.
Yeah, I thought they were poor. I mean, it's interesting that we've listed Gyökeres and Saka for Arsenal because I'm not quite sure that they're going to start. But Mikel Merino, incidentally, he could well start up front because Martinelli is out, injured. Gyökeres may well be rested. Merino started up front against Port Vale. If you want an anytime goal scorer pick, you could do worse than play Merino 2-1. Like all these games, Simon, we have to wait until the team news comes out, really, until we pull the trigger. Because what we saw yesterday was Fulham play a strong side as we thought that they would do, but they only drew with Wickham in the 90 minutes and got through via penalties. And it's so difficult to know who's going to start by and large until we've seen those team sheets. From an Arsenal point of view, and I'm covering the game tonight, Marino's going to start. It's just whether he starts up front or in midfield. The two players that I'm interested in from a shot on target point of view, have a look at Nwaneri and Dauman. Now, Nwaneri could play midfield in the Odegaard role tonight. He is plus 120 to have a shot on target. And Dauman might start because of the way that Arsenal have played recently. Martinelli out. Trossard has been starting games. Madueke's out at the moment. Saka probably going to be rested. And crucially, Max Dauman, who's only 15, remember, he didn't travel with the under-21 squad to play Exeter in the EFL Trophy last night. So he's going to be with the first team squad. If he starts, plus 145 to get a shot on target, he's not the worst because he's probably going to play further forward than Nwaneri, basically on the right-hand side where Saka usually plays. So that, for me, is a potential angle in here. What have we got when it comes to the comments here? Rotterdam Tourist Board says, thanks, Dan, for the 25-1 winner. Anguissa Hedia. We did mention his headed prowess. Real Brennan King says, late to the party. Good to see Simon is back. Nice to see Dan streaming from the Red Lobster again. Yes, indeed. James says, Arsenal and Chelsea in a money line double. Dave says, Fulham really stunk it up yesterday. What a pitiful effort. But they did get through, didn't they, in the end? Ming says, like in your background, Dan, is it Arsenal theme? Yeah, sort of. What else have we got here?
It's
All
like
right,
a
James.
subliminal way you're trying to get everybody to bet Arsenal, aren't you? Now, I'm 29 days into my charity sober October.
Are you
So
really?
I'm seeing booze themes everywhere. I'm thinking about red stripe lager as I see the red come down behind you. It's almost cruel.
RHM's put a load of selections in the chat talking about Arsenal and Chelsea. It's really do. I think Arsenal will probably win. It all depends on team selection. They'll be very, very different to the game that they were against Crystal Palace. I think there might be one or two who'll stick in, but I don't think it. I think it'll be 8 or 9 or even 10 changes. But Waneri, Downman, shot on target, and Marino anytime goal scorer would be my sort of thoughts. Marino to get a shot on target incidentally is plus 110 last I looked, and if he plays up front, then for me it's a bit of a gimme.
Yeah,
Anything
like
else on this one, Simon?
I suppose the question is who is taking this competition more serious. I still think this is a good competition to bet on. I do think some games you have to like lower your stakes because you've got that extra uncertainty of A, who's going to play, and B, really what is the motivation. Could Brighton take this more seriously than Arsenal? If they do, then they're just about piquing my interest. But I'm just going to have one playing this, both teams to score.
I sort of half get. I mean, Brighton won a League Cup game against Arsenal. Was it 3 seasons ago? They won 3-1 at the Emirates. Arsenal haven't conceded in 5 games. It's about 8.5 hours of football, but it's going to be a very different defense. Kepa will play.
Yeah, exactly.
Ben White will play right back.
It?
Of course, it's not. Mosquera will play. Miles Skelly probably play left back, although there's a rumour he might play midfield. So it's going to be very, very different. So it's almost you've got to park those Premier League stats a little bit. And I think Simon's right. That is Arsenal against Brighton. Let's move on to Liverpool Palace. We've got the first leg of the daily double in this one, Simon. Liverpool are even money now, which is incredible because they were minus 160 when I was making some notes yesterday. I knew they'd change, but not to this extent. Palace are plus 240. I presume this is team news related. Obviously, we've listed the likes of Salah and Isak. Isak did start the previous round. He's plus 140 to score at any time. I can't believe Salah's going to start. But then again, Liverpool need a win. It's all about team news again, Simon. This is a game that you identified as the first leg of the daily double. What you got for us?
I was very close to doing Palace on the money line. And it's kind of a Liverpool decline. Palace better than we thought bet. But the market is now continually reassessing itself on Liverpool in general. And this game is a classic example. It's almost like the bookmakers are trying to give Liverpool a win. Now we've got plus 100. They desperately need a win. And this is not a bet on Palace. I've got Palace plus 1 on the Asian handicap as the first leg of the double. But this strong view on Palace that I've got is not in any way about Liverpool playing a weakened team or lacking motivation. I think Liverpool, of any team playing tonight, are the most desperate to win. So, but you cannot look at their recent stats and the shambolic defence against Brentford on Saturday night and not just think that Palace have got the most obvious tactic, which is to just pepper high balls into the box or try and get behind them. And Palace have been extremely effective this year. I think plus 1 on the Asian handicap is a very, very solid play tonight. Do you know, Dan, at the start of the year, we did our previews and I've costed Villa to win the league. I have been pilloried, ridiculed, quite rightly as well. And that's just at home. But the thing is, if you look at the league table now, Villa have got exactly the same points as Liverpool, who I was told 2 weeks ago had one hand on the title. Now, that in itself is an example of how we should be very careful before Christmas about calling the relegation and league title markets. Very careful. But this Liverpool, is it a blip or is it sign of a decline? They won a lot of games in the 90th minute plus. And did that artificially make them look better than they were? I don't know. It just seems to me now that teams are coming here, or teams like Brentford are welcoming Liverpool. And the fear factor is starting to, if not completely go, it's starting to lessen. I think Palace will fancy it tonight. I think Asian handicap plus 1 is the safe way to go. I wouldn't put anybody off playing them on the money line. I really don't see how you can start playing Liverpool now at the odds they are, and I can see why they're so weak in the market, until they put a couple of wins together, Dan.
Yeah, I
I
completely
think
agree.
Palace are a play tonight.
Yeah, and as someone has just suggested, Jake, Rotterdam tourist. Who was it who said it? Stuart Johnson. Palace are a bogey team for Liverpool. Yeah, let's wait to the team news. Jake is talking about here, because we just don't know. I mean, I'm not quite sure how Liverpool are going to line up here. You know, it's. I mean, it could be Freddie Woodman in goal, because obviously Alisson is out. Mohamed Ashley is Premier League at the moment, so it could be third choice keeper. It could be Gamoa to start on the left-hand side. Ekitike could start up front. He was sent off against Southampton, of course, in the previous round. It'll be mix and match, but it might be strong enough. They need a win, because they've been struggling. But I tend to agree that Palace generally in cup competitions play a lot stronger. Canvo might come in at the back, but Lacroix and Gay are probably going to start. Rotterdam Tourist wants to say any Palace centre-backs good for a head. Well, if, you know, Lacroix, we nearly got one for Lacroix, didn't we, earlier this season, one of Jack's plays on the Premier League show. Again, we've got to wait for the team news, but I tend to think that Palace, who beat Liverpool, of course, at Selhurst Park earlier this season, late goal from Eddie Nketiah, and also beat them on penalties in the Community Shield after a 2-2 draw. So if you're playing +1, Simon's pick is, and that's the first leg or the double, then that is going to cash, and we'll go on to the second leg. Incidentally, most of the news stuff for Liverpool.
Palace are a bigger, stronger, more physical side than Brentford, and Brentford looked like they were going to score every time they got in an offensive position. I just think I've never seen in the last 3 or 4 years Liverpool look so awkward when a high ball's played into the back four.
Yeah, I mean, look, they were really struggling. And Arne Slot, the fact that he's come out and said what he said about facing long balls, we didn't face them last season. Yeah, exactly. And now suddenly every single team he's going to play long throws, long balls. That's what he's going to get. Liverpool need.
What's he going to do next? Give his like a 4-digit PIN code out on Twitter.
Most of the money is still on Liverpool, incidentally, at the moment, even though Palace have come in a little bit. And just going back to that Arsenal game, in terms of the splits, 97% of the money and 98% of the tickets have come on Arsenal, 94% on Arsenal, and most of the cash and overs as well, which buys into Simon's both teams to score. Yes, just a reminder about the newsletter. And I know that we've maybe put out a duff newsletter yesterday, but don't worry, it'll be back where it should be, giving you the right information later on this week. bettingweeklystudios.com. If you're new to the channel, make sure you sign up. You get it twice a week. You will get the insider and the newsletter. Plenty of stats, plenty of facts, plenty of selections from all of the gang as well. It drops on Mondays. The insider, of course, on Fridays. That's the Betting Weekly Studios newsletter. Let's talk City against Swansea, or Swansea City against Manchester City, the right way round here. Swansea a massive price here. They're 11-1. City at -480. Haaland ain't going to play. Marmoush is probably going to play up top, Simon. +148 to score at any time. Swansea beat Forest in the last round. City beat Huddersfield 2-0 away from home. Again, City are going to rotate. James Trafford will probably play. Marmoush will probably play. We might get Rico Lewis to come in. Kovacic. Stones might start as well. He's not been starting Premier League games. Maybe even a Nori could come in as well. What's your thoughts on Swansea City against Man City?
Well, one thing's for sure. When Man City play what we would see as a weakened team, they are one club that does not mean they are not taking this very seriously. We know he takes every cup competition incredibly seriously. Now, this is a huge game for Omar Marmoush. I watch the Premier League show every week, of course.
Good, well done.
Yes, me and a few others, but we watch it every week. And the constant fear in any better. Now, it was mentioned in the comments there, have I been ridiculed about City for the league title? Not really. It's one of the few things I've not been ridiculed about within the team. But one thing that's said constantly is, where is the backup if the great man gets injured? Well, you know, if Marmoush were to play tonight, he has to play. He has to have a big game for his own confidence, I think. And to give you that reminder that there is somebody there, that club, that can put the ball in the net. I think he's a great player. The problem he's got now is he cannot get in this team. So tonight he'll get his chance, do his confidence a bit of luck. I think anytime goal scorer Mamouche, they're going to want to feed him out there, which comes into my other prop bet, but they're going to want to feed him. The club needs him to be confident sat on the sideline. So I think Mamouche tonight to have a great game, City to win comfortably, is the way to play this.
Yeah, Brad Beresford is saying Mamouche got to start tonight. Needs game time.
Correct.
That is true. Haaland needs to be at home with an ice bath and a glass of unpasteurized milk. Yeah, his diet is very similar to Nigel's, really, isn't it? In that sense, his body is a temple.
And mine in October.
Exactly. What's your other prop that you've got in this one?
Oh, well, I mean, regular viewers and regular followers of mine, a small but select band that we are, they know my love of the great Star Wars guy, Count Dooku. Now, this is made for him tonight. So I think an assist plus 240 is anything above money is fantastic. He's going to be this is the most offensive wide player, offensive in the sense of he goes forward, not anything he said. And I think he's got a big night tonight. He'll be the one feeding Mamouche for the chances. This is going to be a fantastic night for him. I just pray that he plays. I think he will. And so Doku to assist and Mamouche to score at any time. Let's make some money on the props.
Van City Cannon was saying, just play the whole reserve team. This cup should not be a priority for these Premier League teams. Yeah, that's true. Duncan,
well, you said about look at Newcastle last year, one of the greatest days in the club's history.
True.
So true, is it a priority?
Duncan says, sorry, I'm late. Had a Sky outage. What happened to James' Fulham tip yesterday? Wink, wink, he says. And shout out to Duncan as well, because he said Cauley Woodrow to score first, and he did.
Yeah, I watched that,
a massive price. So, well, props to Duncan. Absolutely fantastic selection in that game. We had James had Fulham for the second leg of the daily double. Napoli went in, but Fulham didn't, unfortunately. In terms of where the money's going here, all the cash on City, all the cash on overs. Both teams to score has failed to hit in each of City's last 4 matches and in 10 of his last 14 across all competitions, which is an interesting one. Under 2.5 goals mark, hitting 7 of City's last 9 in all competitions. Swansea have been middling this season. Again, it's all on team news these. I mean, it's such a difficult one to try and decipher. One bet that I do like in our next game, Wolves against Chelsea. I've been backing Wolves in the Premier League show for the last 2 weeks, and it's getting me a little bit skint, Simon. But I thought with a half a goal start here, minus 107, they will have to go strong against Chelsea. They have to. They're plus 285. Pereira's under pressure. Had a bit of a pop at the fans, didn't he, after the defeat against Burnley. I bet Burnley, you look at all the underlying metrics, all the expected goals, all the shots on target, and so on. Wolves should have won that game. This is last chance saloon for them. They have been bet a little bit because they were plus 300. In fact, they were bigger. They were plus 320 yesterday. They're plus 285 here. They're going to go strong, but Chelsea are not. I mean, the expected team that I saw from Chelsea is going to have Tyreek George up front, and he's not a striker. He's an attacking midfielder. They had the likes of Gittins playing, who's not settled as well, and potentially Maresca is going to up a few players from the academy side as well. Caicedo's not going to play. There is an absence with Enzo Fernandez as well. There was one player, was it Liam Delap? Potentially he's going to come back, but I can't think he's going to start. So I'm playing Wolves on the handicap here at minus 107. They're probably a little bit shorter, to be honest. Brad says Chelsea's second unit is better than Wolves' first. Maybe. What have you got for us, Simon, for Wolves Chelsea?
Well, short of a Turkish ref, I cannot see Wolves beating anybody dangerous. I really can't. There you go. I had to get that in eventually. It's took game 3. I think that a full strength Wolves, correct, a fully motivated Wolves, a angry manager who's now starting to get into spats with the club's fans, and will be, I suspect now, hours before the game, he's got them all lined up shouting it like some sort of Marine colonel. If there cannot be a half-strength Chelsea, who I think, when no one's looking, would not be that bothered about losing tonight, then Wolves are doomed this year. They really are. So I am going to have to, with a heavy heart, say like Wolves draw no bet or Wolves +1 is a play. Now, I backed Burnley at the weekend. I have gone against Wolves. I bet them to be relegated. I've said this is not the Wolves of the last 2 or 3 years that's got enough quality to get out of trouble. But you've got to look at each individual game within its own parameters. And Chelsea, we've got to be a bit careful here, but I don't think Chelsea would be crying for 24 hours throughout the squad if they went out of this competition. I really don't. They've got plenty of other things. And Wolves need a statement to get some sort of bridge back between the fans. So Wolves draw no bet. Both teams to score. Wolves +1 on the edge. I can't believe I'm saying it, but on the individual odds, I do think they're a sneaky little play tonight, Dan.
I'm betting them, but I bet them at the weekend, and I bet
you do every week.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Getting grief for that.
You bet them against teams that have their first 11 out. That's how much you like.
Effie says under 3 goals for the Wolves game. Ming says Wolves' best performances have been in this competition this season. Is this all they have to play for now? Duncan says Wolves wouldn't beat a team from my street. Shocking outfit. The chat is all against Wolves. It's me and Simon against the world, as per usual. Newcastle Spurs is the last game that we can take a look at for the League Cup action tonight. This was a difficult one, but I've got a couple of shot on target plays that could be interesting. Newcastle -148, Spurs +360. They were +400 yesterday. A bit of money for Spurs. Again, it'll be mix and match. So you might get Bergvall playing. Johnson might start. Gray will probably come in as well. Kinski, the keeper, will come in. Don't think Voltemada will start for Newcastle. I think Osula will do. Elanga definitely will do. Couldn't put off anyone +200 anytime goal scorer. I'll run through the shot on target thoughts for these, because I think it's all based on who's going to start. If Osula starts up front, a shot on target is -129. I think he's a good play. Elanga is -175, and Harvey Barnes, if he plays, is -129. Osula's only started 2 games in all competitions this season. He had 1 shot, none on target against Leeds. He had 5 shots, 4 on target against Bradford in the previous round. If he's the central striker, he's +265 anytime goal scorer. He's not on our list. And he's -129 shot on target. So Osula for me, shot on target. What you got, Newcastle Spurs? I think it's a tough one to call just, on the win-draw-win market. But what's your thoughts on the game?
Newcastle have been supported heavily during the day, but I still think they're the play, and they form the second leg of our double, Newcastle on the money line. I just think that within the club, the memories of the big day, I think they want to retain this trophy. I do think it's a massive competition for them. You mentioned Harvey Barnes. I think Harvey Barnes is starting to look like the player he really can be. I think he was short of confidence when he first made the move. I think he's an outstanding player. I think he'll have a big night. I think him to get an assist is a good play. I just think Tottenham were very, very good at the weekend, but that was quite an attritional match. That could have left its mark quite easily, and there could be a bit of fatigue after that for them. That was a big win for them. Perhaps a little bit of mental letdown. Other priorities. I did think Richarlison was interesting to score tonight. I thought that was starting to look a very tempting price. Was it about +550? I think there'll be goals. No, it's +575 for a score.
First, anytime
+260 anytime. I think that's not bad value. I think both teams to score. I think this could be. I fancy something like 3-1 Newcastle tonight. I think this will be a good game.
Let's hope so. I like Newcastle to get through. The Holders, who, as you mentioned right at the top of the show, they did prioritise it late on. And they beat Liverpool in the final. They beat Arsenal over 2 legs in the semi-final. So they beat the best teams to pick up the trophy. Osula, shot on target, anytime goal scorer are going to be the place for me tonight in that Newcastle Spurs game. Most of the money's come for Newcastle, but it's a relatively even split. 62% the money, 66% the tickets, Newcastle. Most of the cash has come for overs, 91% of the money. Newcastle won 5 of its last 7 matches across all competitions. Overs has hit in 6 of Newcastle's last 7 matches across all competitions. The stat. So that's Newcastle against Spurs. That's the League Cup done and done. I mean, we've got to lead with it because it's big English teams, and we appreciate that people want to bet on them. But I actually think there's better value in the Serie A slate tonight, and we're going to talk our way through the games that come up tonight. Gracie says, is that a reversible Roma Wolves top you are wearing, Simon?
I just checked, and the answer is no. There's a good story about this top, actually.
Go on, then.
And it won't take me more than 25 minutes to tell it. This is the Francesco Totti top that was designed for him by the club when he retired. So I was over in Rome, with Nigel. That's a funny story about that, Dan. I'll just tell you quickly. We were walking past a church to get to the Roma match. Beautiful church there in Rome. And a guy came out wearing all the robes. He was carrying a huge box of spaghetti. So I said to Nigel, who do you think that is? And he said, that'll be the local pastor. But there we go. Keep going. Yeah, so it's not reversible. But it is the Francesco Totti, not memorial. There's nothing wrong with the blood. It was to represent him leaving. So it's a limited edition. That's the phrase I was looking for.
All right. You see what you've done there, Gracie? You've unleashed the worst story of the week on us there because of that comment.
Month, surely.
Duncan talking about the Spurs game, saying it's a tough one. One thing that puts me off backing Spurs, Thomas Frank doesn't seem to be very bothered with cup competition. That is true. If his Brentford days or anything to go by. Right, let's talk about this Italian slate because I've got a few plays here for you. Roma, Parma, the bet here is under 2.25 goals. Which Roma look are favourites here. They've been brilliant, and a lot of us have bet them to finish in the top 4 in Serie A. Myself, James, and Steve. I've got them in various ACCAs, so I've bought into Roma, but they have lost 3 of the last 5. 2 of them, admittedly, in the Europa League. Wasn't a straightforward win against Sassuolo at the weekend. 1-0 success. Parma's last couple of games, both 0-0s. 7 of Roma's 8 games have been unders this season. 5 clean sheets is the best record in Serie A. Parma games, their expected goals of 14.6 in their 8 matches. So that's under 2, and they haven't scored away from home. Evan Ferguson is a doubt with an ankle problem. Dybala is fit. That's a plus, but he's only just come back. The 16 games that these two teams have played in Serie A have produced just 21 goals. Under 2.25 goals at even money is my play for Roma Parma. Got anything at Roma Parma for us, Simon?
I have, and it kind of breaks the heart. I mean, Roma on a high with a Lazio, but I wonder, Parma, a bit of a draw specialist, aren't they?
They are.
I thought the draw was a good value play. And when you said, the unders, everyone is saying low scoring affair. And of course, low scoring affair brings that 0-0 into it, as well as the sub. I just think Parma might sneak a draw, and it'll break the heart in one way, but the sweetener will be I've had a little bet on this. So I do think this could be a bit of a ball draw. So Parma to squeeze the life out of the game.
Dave says Roma under 3.5. I can't argue with that one too much. Juve against Udinese. Juve a very short price favourite. Siga Tudor, of course, was sacked. Massimo Brambilla, as you know, Simon is the interim coach. He was in charge of their next-gen side on a couple of occasions. Juve have got a really good record against Udinese, and Udinese are a bogey team for many. They've won 13 of the last 16. The interesting thing about the game at the weekend is that Jonathan David and Dusan Vlahovic started up front together, I think, for the first time. They were beaten 1-0. Igor Tudor used to go 3-4-3, went 3-5-2 to get them both in the same time. They're both going to want to make an impression. If they line up 3-5-2, they're both going to play. If they go 3-4-3, obviously there's only one of them's going to play, which is what happened previously. Whoever gets the nod up front, if he does play with one striker, is going to be desperate to try and make some sort of impression. Jonathan David is plus 140. Vlahovic is plus 170. If they start as a 2, maybe they could cancel each other out, going for the same ball and so on. But I think Juve will get back on track. What do you think? I'm going to play the 2 goal scorers here. I'm hoping it's just going to be one up front, and I'll back whichever one plays. Effie says both teams to score yes at Juve. What do you think?
Another low scoring affair, and I think unders is the play here. You've got to fancy Juve, but they're very, very short on the money line. I played the unders. Again, we've got the two games you've discussed. I know people are saying both teams score there. I think they could be 0-0s, 1-0s. I fancy Juve to win, but they make no appeal at all on the money line. So just play the unders.
Grazza says, not sure that Jonathan David, I always call him Jonathan David. He's Haitian heritage, New York born, grew up in Canada, represents Canada. When you hear him speak, sounds a bit like a French. He's got a significant accent, but I know that most call him Jonathan David. Anyway, he says that his move hasn't been great since going to Italian football. That is true. Como Verona, got one for you here. Short, but I just can't talk myself out of it because of the price. Como minus 175, Verona 5-1 here. Como with that 0-0 draw against Parma at the weekend. They conceded only 5, unbeaten at home. But Nico Paz, what a season he is having. 4 goals, 4 assists so far in 8 matches. 6 of his 8 goal involvements have come at home. He's scored or assisted in every single home match so far this season. He's minus 129 to score or assist. It is short, but I'm going to have to play it. He's plus 230 to have an assist, plus 160 anytime goal scorer. Anything Como Verona from you, Si?
I think keep it simple, Como on the money line. And a good team to stick in the old combos for tonight.
Speaking of combos, and I didn't mention this at the start of our Italian section, but we've got 6 minus money. Let's just get the prices back up. 6
it's
minus
a rack
money
up night, isn't it?
Well, look, there are 6 minus money favourites. They're all at home. And if you wanted to play the 6, I'm not going to do it, but if you want to do it, 6 money line home win parlay, it's around about 13-14-1.
I like it. I like that.
If you wanted
I think
to
we
play,
are building a bet here, young.
Well, I'm not. Listen. I'm not going to play a 6-team parlay. But if
there's always one to let you down.
Of course there is. That's the thing, isn't it? Nico Paz, score or assist, minus 129. He won't be at Como forever, and neither will the young man who's at Cremonese, which is Jamie Vardy, of course. Who started that? Look, he didn't. He went to Cremonese. Obviously, he didn't start initially. He started the last 2 games. Scored against Atalanta. He's plus 390 to score tonight. It's away from home at Genoa, and he's minus 112 to have a shot on target. They'll probably have to play on the break, but that's what they did against Atalanta. Genoa, we've had a bit of fun with in the European shows over the last sort of year. Myself, Steve, and James, because we think they're an unders team. They're bottom of the table at the minute, and some of their stats suggest that they're having a little bit of a go and they're changing their tactics, and it's a little bit of a last throw of the die here. Their last home game was a 0-0 draw, but their expected goals was 2.2. It's the biggest since January, and they might just be throwing caution to the wind. Might set up Vardy on the break for Cremonese. I'm going to play both teams to score. It's plus 128, plus money. Over 2 on the Asian line is minus 113. And on the money line, what are they on the money line? I'm building a case for Genoa here, even though I like Vardy to score. On the money line, shade odds on, shade minus money, minus 121. I know that a lot of stats will point to a few goals in this, but I just think Genoa have changed their tack a little bit. I'm playing both teams to score, yes, plus 128. Over 2 on the Asian line, minus 113. The other side of the coin, Vardy shot on target, minus 112. What do you think, Si? Vardy going to roll back the years?
Do you know what? I think when he went out there, I predicted it'd go well. When we were out there, myself and Nigel both commented how slow the games were, how slower than Premier League, how much more deliberate. And I think even in the veteran stage, his little change of pace will still work out there. So Vardy anytime score. And of course, what a balance out for our big acca on the home teams. It's a little insurance on Vardy to score for the opposition on Cremonese there. So I'm liking that the more we talk about it. Yeah, he could still be effective. He's done the right thing going there rather than dropping down into the more physical championship, I think. So, yeah, let's get Vardy in the net and maybe they lose 3-1.
Just to let everyone know, some splits for the Italian football tonight. Roma Parma, most of the money on Roma, 99% of the money on Roma, 61% of the money overs. Yeah, 89% of the tickets are over. Juve Udinese, again, all the cash for Juve. 59% of the money on over. So unders might be a little bit of a call there. Como against Verona, most of the money on over, 58% of the money on over, but 73% of the tickets have come on over. So that means it's the smart cash has gone under, the rec money has gone over, so to speak, and Como have been well supported. Genoa, Cremonese, again, most of the money on Genoa, 80% of the money on under, 77% of the tickets on over. So that's a huge difference as well for that game. I've not got anything for Bologna against Torino, but I know that in the comments from yesterday's show, Orsolini, who's a real favourite of mine for Bologna, shot on target, I think, was mentioned by one of our viewers. Anything for Bologna, Torino, Simon?
I quite like Bologna keeping the old home teams up. 6-game unbeaten run. Now, what's that saying? I don't have many Bolognese sources, but my friends who follow them do tell me that Bologna are playing very, very well at the moment. Yeah. So, they're on an unbeaten run. Another one for the roll-up. Let's stick Bologna into these combos. And remember, it was all Dangerous Dan Roebuck's idea.
He certainly was not. I'm tapping out of that one.
They are on a serious note. They are seriously in form, and that looked a bit of juice in that price.
Effie says Cremonese over 0.5 goals, like that one, and also under 2.5 goals in the Como game. Grass says if you, hang on a minute, pass, score, or assist, you can get evens somewhere. Shouldn't be mentioning that one. Dave Clark says I think a good parlay piece to add would be Paris Saint-Germain minus 1.5. Well, James spoke about that yesterday, and he suggested that they would cover the handicap. That is for sure. And Grasser also says, Jamie Vardy has been booked in his last 2 games. When he started in Serie A this season, he's got a yellow card in both. That is true. One more game to look at in Italy, which is the bottom one there. It's Inter against Fiorentina. I'm going against the grain with this one. I think Inter will win. They need a win after that loss at Napoli. But their expected goals against Napoli was 1.88. Napoli's was 1.25, and they had a penalty in that, so you can take out 0.76. So it does suggest that Napoli didn't really create a lot. Fiorentina drew 2-2 with Bologna. Their expected goals was 3.72, highest since December of last year, and biggest in Serie A since October of last year. So they're potentially a side that you can rely on for goals. The thing is, what I worked out, Simon, is immediately after a big expected goals haul, the very next game, it was if teams were playing defensively against them. Right. I think Inter will win, but I'm going to take a bit of a fly with under 2.5 goals at minus 103. What you got? Well,
the last leg, isn't it, of the great roll-up. But what about the old Martinez anytime scorer? It's not the greatest price. I know it's about minus 120, something like that. The goal machine. It's a home banker. The problem is, on a night like this, you can go skint trying to be clever and get some of these teams turned over.
Isn't a 6-leg parlay trying to be clever, Simon?
Well, somebody tried to add PSG. Was there not enough teams already in it? Clarky there. Good man. Yeah, we've got enough. Well, I don't think I can't make a case for Juve getting beat tonight on a serious level.
Are you so into a banker material? That's what you suggest.
And them, So we're mixing up our home teams here. Yeah. So for me, they are the last leg of the jigsaw. If jigsaw has legs, yeah.
Dave's it's crazy how Fiorentina have not won a game this season. A couple of draws, but 0. There's a few teams.
Well, there you go.
That haven't won. It's incredible, really. But that's the way it is. So that is Serie A done and dusted. I'll tell you what we didn't do when we were talking about the League Cup game, Simon. We didn't get the second leg of your daily double. I know that you mentioned
Newcastle on the money line.
Did you actually? Did you confirm it was the second leg of the daily double?
Certainly did. Please look back, people, and contact Dan directly.
We need the viewers.
Give a double message when you're asking about the home bankers.
Watch it again.
And remind him. I did. Yeah, the double is Newcastle on the money line and Palace +1 on the Asian handicap.
I confused myself a little bit there. Inter against Fiorentina, 95% of the money, 95% tickets on Inter, and 97, 98 on overs. Both teams to score market is hitting 8 of Fiorentina's last 9 Serie A night matches. Fiorentina.
When you're reading these stats, Dan, have you ever? Now, you and the Great Meat Man have hosted this show for many years, and will do for many more. I know. Have you ever read splits out that are 95, 98, 99 as often?
Well, for these Italian games, probably not. You're absolutely
Thank
right.
you.
Although the overs and unders have been, they've been questionable. But that's Italian. Look,
That's not what we're playing. We're playing the
I
money
know.
line for this.
I know, son. I know. I mean, Italian football this season, the average goals are down for sure. So, I can see why people want to get on unders. Best bets for me are a Roma under 2.25, around about even money. And I'm going to play both teams to score yes in the Genoa Cremonese game at plus 128.
Yeah, Vardy anytime.
Vardy anytime as a bit of a side. And Nico Paz, I just think he's a terrific player in that Como game. Let's just have a quick look at the SPL games, shall we? Because we're pulling up a couple here. And I quite look. Nigel and Neil on the dojo have been talking about Hearts an awful lot in their attempt to win the Premiership title. Celtic, what is it? 8 points now, the difference. And Celtic, without Brendan Rodgers, Martin O'Neill has come back in time. What do you make of that? I mean, they're 5-1. 5-1 on, or minus 500 to beat Falkirk tonight. I mean, no one's betting them at minus 500, I don't think. But with Martin O'Neill back, there'll be a bit of a feel-good factor, maybe. What do you make of him coming back to Celtic Park?
Well, if they don't beat Falkirk, it'll be a one-match visit for Martin O'Neill, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
He'll have had longer weekends away. I mean, it is an extraordinary set of events. I mean, I read the chairman's comments on Brendan. They were hardly positive. The club is in complete turmoil. Now, I expect when we watch the dojo next Monday that we're going to see Channers and Nigel Seeley dressed in kilts. I mean, they've just gone, that's mad.
Easy. I've got an image in my brain that I don't want.
Well, yeah, or at least with a tartan background. You've got the Arsenal colours. They should have the tartan check behind. This is a story that's just building and building and building. I've got to admit, when I first saw it, it was one of them where I thought, yeah, it's good angle. The great man's invested in Hearts. He's never fails at anything. He's the world's great. I buy all that. But then you think, is it really? But I tell you what a play. And a story that's just building and building and building. I mean, Nigel Seeley made the point that Hearts, as it stands now, were a better bet than, what was it, when they were 33s or whatever?
Yeah,
it was?
and I completely agree with him.
Yeah, and I mean, that is
very,
the way a professional thinks. And Nigel said it as well. So, I mean, we're into Leicester territory, aren't we?
Yeah.
With less variables.
Yeah.
But we are into that almost fantasy territory now. And the longer it goes, you've got the perfect storm of events. You've got Rangers with a new unproven manager who may be great, but he's unproven. You've got Celtic in turmoil. Brendan does this when he's been somewhere about this amount of time. He just exits stage left before it gets really bad. He's got form on this. So who knows? I mean, there is a theory, of course, that Arne Slot could be moved sideways and Brendan could come back at Anfield, but that's just an Everton fan site theory. That's not remotely serious. That's an Everton fan dream, that. I'm starting to think that this should be odds on to cop. I genuinely think Hearts now are odds on to win this league. And tonight's not going to change anything. Surely Celtic will win 2 or 3-0. But there is still turmoil. And Hearts just keep playing like they're playing. They've got the goal scorers. They've got the momentum. I just see this league table be as you were at 9:45 tonight.
Stuart Johnson says Hearts will win the league. No, you're to worry about. Very strong squad and Bloom's money. Grayson says for Hearts to win, it might have been better for Rodgers to stay in charge. That's true. The way that things were going. Effie says Celtic team total over 2.5 goals. I think the best bet tonight. I mean, why aren't we just backing Hearts at minus 130 here? I mean, they were minus 130 to beat Kilmarnock a few weeks ago away from home, and Killie have got a point more than St Mirren, and Hearts won 3-0. Why are we not just backing them again at minus 130? If that was Celtic away, they'd be minus $2. I mean, to me, that's just a no-brainer.
I mean, really, you're asking yourself, are Hearts far less likely to win tonight than Celtic? And if the answer's, of course not, then that's your play, isn't it? You're right. It's a stick-on job at that price.
Someone's just asked about the current futures price on Hearts. If I was fastest finger first, I might be able to tell you, but someone might put it in the chat for
6
you.
to 4.
6 to 4, are they? Plus
Yeah,
150. plus 150.
Yeah, plus 150.
Is the cry from the back.
And that's the thing. The odds on now.
Incidentally, in that game, all the money's come for Hearts. 92% of the money, 97% of the tickets. Most of the money on overs as well. Hearts have won 2-0 4 of its last 5 matches, and Hearts have scored at least 3 in 9 of its last 14 across all competitions. There's so many pointers here. There you go. Stuart's put them up. Celtic minus 150, Hearts plus 150, Rangers plus 1,000. Look, I think they're about. Incidentally, on Celtic, they're minus 500. They're the same sort of price when they beat St Mirren. They only beat them 1-0. So you could have maybe a little bit of Falkirk on the Asian line. But I think Martin O'Neill coming in, that sort of muddies the waters a little bit for me. Right, one last thing to take a look at before we depart. Nigel's going to do his nut when he finds out that Simon's asked for some golf on the show. So get your tin out.
It's just a brief flyer. No more than a minute of your time, folks.
Oh, before we do that, I did say I'll pass on James's. Go back to yesterday's show if you want James's thoughts on all of these games. But he did say 2 bets, basically. Paris Saint-Germain to cover the handicap and Lens to cover the handicap as well. They're away at Lorient and Metz. Metz are a mess at the moment. Those were the 2 leans. He also thought that Strasbourg, again on the Asian line, giving away quarter of a ball or half a ball might be the play for that one. I didn't really have too much interest in the others. But basically, Paris Saint-Germain and Lens both kicking off a little bit later, not too far in the future. Okay, that's French football. Let's have some golf then, Simon. This is one for viewers to get the money down, get the voucher, stick it in your wallet and bring it out next May, or is it April? I can never remember. Is it May, April. Masters?
Well,
April, the Masters.
You and the Turkish refs will be there in May. Bet it and forget it. This show is about what happens today. Now, Xander Schauffele, I believe, is the second best player in the world when he's got his confidence. He's got his confidence back now with the recent win. He's going to have a very busy winter. I expect him to win at least once more. When this tournament starts, he's got an incredible record by April. I expect him to be less than half that price. So, yes, this is a show about today, but today he is a play at plus 600. Bet it and forget it at 16s.
1,600. Xander Schauffele could well be single figures by the time the event comes around in April. I should note that I've written 4 golf form books, of course. As you,
I know, I read 3 of them.
Yeah. Not the last one. Yeah, it was.
Well, the other one's a coffee table book. I had one leg that was just a little bit short.
If anybody
when
wants,
people mock people's books.
I know it's terrible. Yeah, 4 books. I'm not at home today, so I can't show everybody. But yeah. Anyway, that is your lot. What is your daily double? Look, the boys on the American.
How many times are you going to ask me?
Absolutely flying for the daily doubles. I think even the tennis one yesterday. The soccer started so poorly. The onus, the responsibilities falls on you, Simon. Just remind everyone of the official daily double. We're minus 2.
Things are never that bad. They can't get worse. Dangerous.
Yeah, thanks, Mick.
We are going Crystal Palace plus 1 on the Asian handicap, and we are doubling them up with the reigning champions, the Magpies, Newcastle, to beat Tottenham Hotspur. That is today's deadly daily double.
Grace is saying Scheffler plus 500, not very good. Xander Schauffele, we're talking about Grazer.
Xander Schauffele,
1,600. Schauffele, Xander. Not Scotty
plus
Scheffler.
1,600.
Plus 1,600. And Michael Taylor saying that St Mirren, the only side that Hearts have failed to beat this season, that was in the Cup. Good stat. True. From Michael, but Michael, surely it's going to turn around today, you would have thought. More shows coming your way. Of course, we've got Tennis Live in a couple of hours. We've got all the stateside boys who have been crushing it recently. MLB, NBA, plenty upcoming. Basketball, of course, back in full swing. Many thanks to everyone who has contributed. Rotterdam Tourist was, can we get the official place from Game Bet and Match? They weren't given in the show.
Really?
I've not seen the show yet, Rotterdam. I will get. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get the message to you, but I'll try. That's all I can promise you. I'll get Nigel to tweet it out, maybe, if there weren't any official picks. Simon, so is that your duty done for the week? You were meant to be on Friday, but you've ducked out of that one.
No, I am the super sub. I am the man who's changed his busy plans. and
Okay.
thinking about Red Stripe, watching you. Dangerous. So, yes, on Friday, Nigel will be joining the Great Meat Man to set you up for the weekend. But it's been an absolute privilege to step in for the Great Man and be with you and the viewers today.
Many thanks to everyone who has contributed. Have a good betting night tonight. Hopefully you'll cash some tickets from myself and Simon for today. That's